Welcome to an update on Acero School's hybrid transition plan, where we will share a bit more information about our reasons for transitioning to hybrid, what is being discussed with the Chicago Teachers Union, or CTU, and what we're doing to keep our school community safe, along with general details on how Acero Schools is proposing to approach hybrid learning for K-8 and high school scholars. Acero School serves nearly 7,100 scholars. We have made it a priority to stay closely connected with our parents and caregivers during this time to understand what you need from your school community. After hearing nearly 2,800 voices ask for a hybrid option, we have moved forward with our proposed plan. Public health officials across all levels of government agree that this kind of transition is safe and should be a priority. Our schools are safe places with reliable internet, dedicated spaces, nutritious meals, and ready access to the professional support that many of our scholars need right now. While we will continue to prioritize all scholars, heeding the needs of a growing segment of our population must also be a priority. Our collective and resilient team can do this and do it incredibly well. We have planned and made the financial investment necessary to support this transition and can do so while minimizing disruption for our scholars. You may be wondering where we're at with this transition and what is being discussed with CTU. Generally speaking, our conversations with CTU fall into three broad subject areas. These include discussions around the health and safety protocols the network and all schools will follow to minimize risks presented by the pandemic. This includes health screening so that individuals who may have symptoms do not attend school, requiring face masks at schools at all times, practicing social distancing, making personal protective equipment or PPE available to those who need it, maximizing the circulation of air and providing HEPA air purifiers for each classroom, while also creating ways of discussing safety at both the individual school and network level. We are also discussing how we will approach hybrid learning. This includes scholar schedules, how those schedules impact educators and support staff, when, how, and why groups of colleagues will return to school buildings to enable the network and each school to best support scholars and families, what each colleague is responsible for, the amount of time educators will have to do preparatory work, and how we will manage new approaches to meals, arrival, dismissal, and other breaks. And finally, because Acero Schools is legally required to administer certain tests, we are discussing how we can work jointly with unionized staff to safely offer these tests, since doing so requires the support of a significant number of adult supervisors. Let's dig into the health and safety protocols Acero Schools has in place. It has taken several months and the dedication of countless professional staff to arrive at a safe and mindful way of offering hybrid learning at our schools. These experts are keeping careful tabs on federal, state, and local public health guidelines, focused on the safe reopening of schools, and are well-versed in best practice across not only Chicago, but the nation. We have developed a plan that includes safely enabling scholars and colleagues to enter our schools while also mitigating risk and considering all of the precautions and activities that will enable us to learn and work in schools. We know that a safe, orderly, and secure school environment is critical for everyone at our schools. This is why we have taken the necessary steps to implement the kinds of practices and protocols that public health officials say work. This includes posting signage in and out of our buildings, in classrooms, in hallways, and bathrooms that reinforce good practice and dramatically reduce risk. At-home symptom screening remains key and is aligned with the latest public health guidance so that individuals do not come to school if they are symptomatic or sick. Using hand sanitizer frequently is part of our new normal and is a key preventative measure that we will reinforce and make readily available. And all building entrants must wear a mask at all times, but for when they are drinking or eating. We've also set ourselves up for success, creating a socially distant environment that again conforms with public health guidelines. Classrooms, spaces where scholars may line up, and shared areas like restrooms are all spaced for social distance. For those meals that will be consumed at school, our plan includes doing so from the safety of a scholar's desk, not in a school lunchroom. We've set up our buildings to support further risk mitigation. We are maximizing air circulation in all the ways we can, including significant investment in HEPA air purification devices for each classroom. Our facilities team has detailed cleaning and disinfecting plans that, again, align with public health guidelines. And should anyone in our school community present symptoms, each school will have a safe and well-supplied care room where a trained attendant will support the impacted individual. Acero schools also have contact tracing in place. To do so well and in alignment with guidelines, designated personnel complete COVID-19 contact tracing training offered by Johns Hopkins University. We understand that you may want to see pictures of what signage and school setups look like. We have examples available on our Hybrid Learning Transition Hub, linked on our homepage. Please visit www.aceroschools.org for more information. Now let's spend a little bit of time discussing what a K-8 hybrid or remote scholars day may look like under our proposal. When we last updated you, we shared dates envisioned for our eventual hybrid transition. We have proposed one change that does not directly impact scholars. To best serve our scholars, parents, caregivers, and colleagues, we proposed an April 5th return for our school-based support professionals, along with an April 12th return for our school-based instructional staff. This proposal envisions a 5-day per week work schedule. This is intended to provide plenty of time to get ready for scholars' return on April 19th and the 22nd. School leadership teams are already working in school buildings. One key element of our proposal has changed. Instead of having scholars return based on their grade level, we have now pivoted to a return based on pods. Let's talk about what a pod is and how they work. A pod is a group of scholars who spend the entire school day together, mostly in a single classroom. We decided to make this transition given the large number of families we serve that have multiple scholars in various grades attending Acero schools. Dealing with different transitions for different grade levels was proving very challenging for families. So instead, scholars will be transitioned back to school by pod, enabling all siblings within a family to transition together. There are A and B pods. Pod A will attend in-person instruction on Monday and Tuesday. Pod B will attend in-person instruction on Thursday and Friday. All scholars will be remote or online on Wednesday. Again, we have proposed for Pod A to begin hybrid learning on April 19th and Pod B on April 22nd. Let's take a quick look at how this transition impacts both hybrid and remote scholars. We have 2 K-8 examples to share. While there will be slight variability at each school given their unique size and populations, these examples provide a solid example of what you can expect. Our current agreement with CTU results in students having roughly 13 1/3 hours a week of direct interaction with their respective teacher or teachers. Our proposal seeks to return that interaction to something a bit closer to what was in place pre-pandemic. In this example of a smaller Acero school, K-8 hybrid scholars get roughly 13 more hours per week of time with their teacher or teachers. Under our proposal, we see very similar advantages for our remote scholars too. While there are slight differences by grade level, remote scholars will have between 9 and 13 more hours per week with their teacher or teachers. When we compare these examples across other campuses, even those that have larger student populations that present different scheduling challenges, we see similar gains. When we examine this transition at a larger Acero K-8 school, we again see our hybrid scholars gaining between 7 and 11 hours per week with their teacher or teachers. For remote scholars, our scholars gain between 4 and 9 hours, dependent on grade level, with their teacher or teachers. We see these gains as positive regardless of K-8 school, because they provide more direct time with teachers while also being mindful of things like screen time. We are focused on returning scholars to a learning experience that is closer to what they experienced prior to the pandemic, while also easing them into a new routine. While examples are helpful, we also know that each family is eager to receive their individual scholar's pod assignment and schedule. We are committed to providing these schedules to all K-8 families by March 26th.
We recently shared a communication explaining our proposed high school learning center model. Let's explore that model briefly. Acero Schools recognizes that many of our high school scholars are in need of a safe, supportive, and dedicated space to complete their online studies. We have proposed serving our high school students through learning centers, allowing scholars to have reliable internet service and regular meals. Scholars will be scheduled in either Cohort A or Cohort B. Cohort A will complete online learning at their respective school building on Monday and Tuesday. Cohort B will do the same, but on Thursday and Friday. In very limited circumstances, based on unique needs, a scholar may be scheduled for Cohort A and B. School teams will develop schedules considerate of sibling, grade, and academic needs. This proposal also calls for all scholars to learn from home on Wednesdays.
We know that you may have questions. Beyond visiting with your individual school-based leaders, we also welcome you to explore our hybrid learning transition hub. You can find the hub by visiting our website, www.aceroschools.org. This is where we provide updates 24/7 and a dedicated space for you to share your feedback or concerns. We welcome hearing from you. Please anticipate receiving a third update in the next several days. Until then, thank you.